It all started when the gods of the universe declared a deadly competition among planets inhabited by intelligent life. The losers completely erased from existence. Our main character, Jihan, had gained an SSS rank martial arts skill blessed by a god, but he hadn't fully awakened its true power. Humanity was too weak to stand against the orcs, and Earth lost. Everyone perished, except Jihan. As the planet was wiped out, his god-tier skill resisted deletion. This rare occurrence drew the attention of the gods, who decided to give him another shot, this time with a broken leveling system that made his growth insanely fast. He also gained access to a special shop where he could trade points for rare items and new abilities. Jihan wakes up to the sound of a TV, disoriented. The last thing he saw on his system screen was a message saying he'd be sent back to the league's entry era. He glances around and quickly realizes he's on the rooftop of his old apartment building in 2020 South Korea. There are no monsters, no chaos, just peaceful streets and kids playing, pretending to be the famous Sword King Yun Se-jin. To confirm his suspicion, Jihan opens his status window. He's back at level 2. It's true, he's returned to the beginning. With knowledge of the future, he sees this as his chance to rewrite destiny and protect everyone. This time, things will be different. Back in 2020, Korea had a strong foothold thanks to the legendary Sword King Yun Se-jin, who ranked 3rd among the world's top 11 players. His power was unmatched. He could wipe out dozens with a single strike. He was the pride of Korea and helped the nation dominate Northeast Asia in the league. But everything changed when Yun Se-jin shocked the world by renouncing Korea, changing his name to Ryuhai and becoming a Japanese citizen. What should have been a regular summer day turned into Korea's worst nightmare. After he left, the country spiraled. Their top ranks crumbled and they suffered repeated defeats. People hoped other young talents would rise to the challenge, but no one filled the gap. Korea's downfall was swift and brutal. And when the Space League began, the game turned into something far more dangerous. It was no longer just entertainment, it became a fight for survival. Death in the league meant death in real life, and countries at the bottom were overrun by monsters. The stakes had never been higher. After Yoonjin left and Korea declined, the nation eventually collapsed. Survivors often said that if the Sword King had stayed, Korea's fate could have been different. That's how crucial he was. And surprisingly, he was Jihan's brother-in-law. In a burst of rage, Jihan smashes a family photo of Yun Se-jin in the living room. He still questions why his sister loved that man and how things might have changed if she were alive. But the past is gone. Now Jihan needs to focus on the present. Sure, he's returned to the past, but his stats? They're pitiful. Back in his younger days before joining the Space League, he wasted time drinking and gambling, never realizing how powerful his gift truly was. In this world, a gift is a rare talent granted at age 18, and Jihan was given one of the lowest, F rank. He used it to bet on winners and survive by gambling. At the time, he had no clue how valuable it would become once awakened. Still, that doesn't change the fact that his current abilities are bottom tier, fit for a level 1 rookie. One night, while drunk, he accidentally drank an experience potion thinking it was booze, and leveled up. Strangely, he also has a ton of achievement points, which doesn't add up since he hadn't done anything noteworthy before entering the league. He suspects this anomaly might be due to his regression. Curious, he checks his inventory and spots something unusual, an achievement point exchange coupon exclusive to the final survivor who chose to try again. It's a rank X item, extremely rare and powerful. He uses it instantly, unlocking a personal achievement store filled with items for him. The store can be upgraded for better options, so he gives it a try. But level 2 and 3 upgrades offer little value. With only 50,000 points left, a level 4 upgrade will drain most of his balance. Still, Jihan's a natural gambler. He takes the risk, and it pays off. The store unlocks Urgent Restoration, a god-tier item that repairs broken gear to perfect condition. It's wins like this that keep him hooked on gambling. Now armed with a powerful ability, he's ready for real action. He enters another room in the massive penthouse, unlocking it with his thumb. It's Yun Sejin's old playroom. Oddly, the system still sees Jihan as family. He's not about to complain, though. Inside, he finds what he's been looking for, Dong Feng Shuo's spoiled brush, an A-rank item labeled useless. But with his new restoration tool in hand, that might be about to change. He manages to fix the spoiled A-rank brush, turning it into an SS rank item tied to the martial dot. But just as he's about to admire it, a notification pops up. He's got 10 seconds before the Gangnam Bronze League tutorial begins. No time to waste. He quickly opens his status window and uses the brush to adjust his stats. The secret behind his rise to World Rank 7 in his previous playthrough was a special ability called Martial Power, a unique stat that merges strength, agility, and HP. Though the brush was once discarded, it's now the key to his awakening. He finishes editing his stats just as the countdown ends and is instantly transported to the arena. The tutorial's mission, survive in the Colosseum alongside 100 others. Once half remain, the trial ends. Jihan checks his status and is relieved. He successfully unlocked Martial Power, earning 1,000 achievement points as a bonus. This is just his first step toward mastering the nameless divine art. With this new power, clearing the Bronze League should be a breeze. But there's a catch. He's connected to the Battlelet without a pain-reducing connector. That means he'll feel all the pain from in-game injuries. He remembers how, during the early days, players could buy connectors to ease the pain. His brother-in-law had a top-tier one that reduced pain by 99%. Jihan plans to get one later, but for now, he has to tough it out. Then a new quest appears. Place first in the tutorial for another 1,000 achievement points. This didn't exist in his past life, but now, with Martial Power, it should be no problem. The game begins and instantly a player lunges at him, sword raised, clearly aiming for an easy kill. But Jihan effortlessly blocks the strike with just 2 fingers. The attacker can't even retrieve his sword. Jihan thanks him for offering the first kill. It's the perfect way to kick off the match. One of the game's main appeals is the thrill of combat, and Jihan's just getting started. The rise of the Battlelet also brought about guilds, organized groups that train and support players. Countries and corporations invested heavily, especially in South Korea, leading to the formation of many guilds and strong contenders early on. The Gangnam Bronze League became a key stage for new talent to debut. Among the newcomers is Do Huku, a nervous but hopeful player summoned to the same arena. He considers himself lucky. He's part of the Divergent Guild, backed by the well-known Divergent Group. Though just an ordinary guy, he got in after awakening an A-rank agility gift, a rare feat. With this, he believes he has a shot at the top 50. Looking around, Do Huku sees only intimidating fighters, knights, brutes, and monsters. Choosing survival over pride, he decides to look away and act like he saw nothing. The others eye him, sensing his fear. He knows one wrong move could get him eliminated right at the start. That would have been beyond embarrassing. Most of the players around him are clearly from elite guilds, geared to the teeth. It doesn't feel like a Bronze League at all. But among the well-equipped crowd, one guy stands out, barefoot, in a tank top and sweatpants, no gear in sight. Do Huku thinks he's a total newbie who got summoned by accident, probably an easy first kill. As soon as the game kicks off, Haihuku charges in, grateful for the free win. But shockingly, the newbie blocks his strike with just 2 fingers. There's no way someone who looks this out of place should be that fast. Before Haihuku can react, he's tossed aside effortlessly. The stranger, Jihan, mocks him for thinking agility alone could carry him. Fuming, Haihuku goes all in, aiming straight for Jihan's throat at full speed. Jihan dodges with ease. Every attack Haihuku throws is avoided, but it's not exactly easy for Jihan either. He's not used to fighting with such low stats. Even so, with his experience, Haihuku's movements are too predictable. The next big swing is all Jihan needs.
He knocks the weapon away, leaps up, catches it mid-air, and lands a clean strike to Haihuku's neck. Haihuku fades away, vowing revenge. Jihan sighs. Even in death, these guys don't quit. The system rewards him with 100 achievement points for the first kill, though the sword vanishes since its owner is gone. No matter, Jihan never needed it anyway. He's now focused on the next step, securing 5 kills to rank well in the mission. Strangely, no one's bothering with the monsters in the arena. The reason? One monster is only worth 0.1 of a player kill. 10 monsters for the price of 1 player. Most ignore them, especially since they're orcs. But then a quest pops up. Defeat all 30 orcs in the Colosseum. The reward? A hefty 500 achievement points, 5 times more than the first kill. That's worth the effort. These orcs are basic NPCs, nothing compared to the real thing. With nothing holding him back, Jihan...
As he checks his stats, an arrow flies toward him. He dodges with ease. 2 opponents approach, an archer and a warrior, both from Korea's top 10 turtle guild. They clearly underestimate him. The girl tells her partner to finish things quickly. Their combo of long and short-range attacks could be a serious threat. A system alert shows only 60 players remain. The tutorial is ending soon. If Jihan just avoids them, he might survive, but since they came after him specifically, they must see him as easy prey. The warrior is so sure of himself, he jokes about dinner plans if he lands the final blow. Just before the fight kicks off, Jihan checks the scoreboard. He's barely holding on to first place. Jihan already had 4 kills. If he took down 2 more, he'd secure his rank. He first targeted the archer, finishing her off mid-flirt with the warrior. With his martial stat at level 6, they couldn't keep up. The warrior, stunned by the sudden loss, didn't even get to react before Jihan struck his back. Though the warrior's B-rank armor saved him initially, Jihan relentlessly targeted the same spot, stabbing until a hole formed, enough to eliminate him too. Elsewhere, Lee Hyan, head of HR for the Divergent Guild, sipped tea while rewatching the match. She was relieved Jihan hadn't been summoned near her top fighter, Lim Gong, who had placed second. Though Gong bristled at the idea of someone stronger, Hyan urged her to avoid Jihan for now and just gather intel. Yet as Gong watched the footage, she felt she'd seen Jihan before. Jihan had shaken things up. Despite being level 2 with no real gear or guild, he ranked first. He wore nothing but a tank top and sweatpants and still racked up 6 kills, an achievement that stunned even the Turtle Guild scouts. Back at home, Jihan reviewed his rewards. A 50% experience boost that launched him from level 3 to 6, no GP, but a boost in martial stats. He also gained the nickname Tutorial Conqueror, which added extra stats and another XP bonus effective in the Bronze League. Now sitting at level 10 martial power, he was overpowered for the tier. Upon reaching level 5, he unlocked the ability to choose a class. The system offered 4: Warrior, Mage, Archer, and Support. While he had picked Warrior in his past life and knew it well, Jihan noticed an option in the achievement shop to unlock a second class slot. That way he could try something else first and still get Warrior later. He eventually selected a class and was summoned for another Bronze League mission, this time a defense scenario in the Gangnam Zone, filled with swarming zombies. Players had to defend a crystal at the top of a castle from below. Only 5 towers would remain by the mission's end. At one tower, Liangyama, the Divergent Guild's prized S-rank warrior, looked on with disgust at the zombie horde. Soon her team spawned, a well-equipped archer from LK, a powerful solo mage, and finally Jihan, who arrived in his signature tracksuit and wielding a metal pipe. Gong, unimpressed, was shocked to see him playing the support role. 20 minutes earlier, Jihan had chosen support despite the system warning it was a poor fit. But he had a reason. Support granted him divine power, a stat he needed to unlock a hidden potential. Though hard to raise, Jihan knew a secret method tied to his pipe weapon. The other players mocked his gear, especially the mage, who scorned Jihan's appearance and called him unfit. But Jihan wasn't one to take insults lightly. In one swift move, he lifted the mage by the collar and tossed him off the tower into the zombie horde below. The mage respawned, only to be thrown off again. Now down to 1 life, he begged for mercy, terrified of being eliminated. If he died again, he'd lose the game, his level, and the skills he'd bought with real money. Jihan didn't just shut him up, he broke his spirit. The moment a skill is deleted, it's gone for good. Jihan is surprised by how much Gook's attitude has shifted. Last time the guy was all fire and fury the second he spawned. Now he's trying to sell himself as a fire mage who's great against undead, and at level 15, supposedly powerful. Any normal team would be glad to have him, but his non-stop bragging reminds Gong of who he really is. Once part of a top guild, Kim Gook was respected until he flunked Silver League promotions 4 times and turned into a troublemaker. To Gong, he's just a washed-up brawler. Gook keeps pushing to join the team on one condition: Jihan must apologize for killing him twice. The archer supports the idea, clearly just wanting peace, but deep down Gook still holds a grudge. Before he can finish his inner monologue, Jihan grabs him by the collar and tosses him off the tower again. No second chances for someone who started the fight and then dared to ask for an apology. Now down a man, their team watches as another fire mage from a nearby group wipes out zombies with ease. The archer scolds Jihan for not compromising, but Jihan ignores him and checks his latest quest. It's linked to another: place first in the 10 Towers mission and kill 1,000 zombies solo, worth 4,000 achievement points. The zombie kill count seems impossible in the time left, but he doesn't want to miss out on the 3,000-point reward. Lianyama silently judges Jihan's selfishness. Despite his talent, he's still just the support class. She sees no reason to recruit him into her guild. The archer, unlike her, is fed up and tells Jihan to go fight alone if he wants. Jihan's thrilled. That's exactly what he wanted. Gong offers to hold the front line while Jihan clears the path ahead. Suddenly, a blood zombie reaches the top of the tower, its liquid head immune to normal attacks. But Jihan doesn't care about game mechanics. With one clean spear strike, he smashes its head in. Gong notices the divine energy burning off the corpse and realizes Jihan has divine power. He keeps fighting, steadily racking up kills. Blood zombies take divine attacks to defeat, and Jihan releases just enough divine energy to finish them off efficiently. The archer's opinion of him changes completely. Gong is speechless, stunned by his control and precision. Jihan's clean strikes to the head are no accident. He's a true pro. In minutes, he's wiped out over 200 zombies, triggering a hidden reward, Otherworld's Faith, which boosts his divine power from level 6 to level 7. This method of increasing divine power involves sacred items from other worlds, long forgotten after the 2010 tutorial ended. Most players stopped caring about them, except one, Sophia, the first American saintess. She told Jihan that she gained divine power by praying with these rare relics. It's slow and difficult, but it works. Few knew this secret, and Sophia hoarded most divine items, but there was one other person who knew, someone who collected the same relics in secret. After his regression, Jihan discovered that person was his own sister, Shang Jia, Korea's top support and a national hero. Her death is another story. Among her relics, Jihan finds a steel pole, now an F-rank item, once ideal for smashing zombie skulls. Though drained of divine power, it's still sturdy, a perfect blunt weapon. Gong is amazed by Jihan's control and form. The archer spots another tower collapse. They're now in the top 5. But in his excitement, he misses a zombie sneaking up behind him. Gong reacts instantly, cutting it down. Her precise stance gives away her identity. She's the Plum Blossom Sword, Lim Gae-yong, once the interim Sword King. In Jihan's past life, she died at the hands of the real Sword King, Ryuhai. Meeting her early in this life might change everything. She asks to join him in battle. If they fight together, they could go for the top rank. Jihan checks the status window. They're still 5th, and time's running out. He decides she and the archer can handle the tower while he goes all in. Without a word, he leaps off the tower. Mid-air, he channels all his divine energy into his staff and slams it into the ground, blasting away waves of zombies in an explosive shockwave. His efforts push their team into first place. They survive, and the mission ends. He completes his limited quest, though he falls short of the 1,000 zombie kill goal. As the game wraps up and he's about to teleport back, his teammates gather to congratulate him. Despite everything, he carried the team and walked away as the clear MVP. The archer is eager to team up with him again, but his thoughts are already elsewhere. Gong is stunned. Jihan's support dealt massive damage even though he's a level lower. She's convinced it must be some glitch. As the archer logs out, Gong approaches Jihan, calling him by name, which surprises him. They shouldn't even know each other yet, but Gong doesn't care. After watching him in recent missions, she's sure he belongs in the Divergent Guild. She's supposed to recruit him, but in the moment she accidentally asks for his phone number instead. Realizing she skipped way too many steps, panic flashes across her face. Before she can explain, Jihan awkwardly says he forgot his number and logs out, leaving her speechless. She stands there wondering if anyone can really forget their own number, and slowly realizes she just got rejected. In reality, Jihan genuinely doesn't remember it. In his past life, he used a US number and hasn't memorized his Korean one since reincarnating. He can't just go around asking for it either. Still, he figures maybe he should have asked for her number, but right now he's not planning to join any guild. His focus is on leveling up and grabbing as many rewards as possible. He's raised his level by 2 and earned 1500 GP, but it's still not enough to buy divine items. They're cheaper in this timeline, but still out of reach. For now, he heads home to dig through his sister's storage again. Back at home, he sees a pair of unfamiliar shoes and instantly knows who's here. Shocked, he drops his bag. We all have regrets, and for Jihan, his biggest one is not being able to protect his niece, Sei, in his past life. She once promised to protect him, and now, standing in front of him again, she's alive. Sei is 18, the daughter of his late sister and Yoon Se-jin. In the past, she wasn't home when Jihan regressed. She lived with a group in Jeju. But after her mom passed, and with her dad suddenly defecting to Japan and abandoning her, she ended up all alone. In his past life,
she didn't survive the heartbreak. Now she's all he has, and he's determined to protect her no matter what. Sei had recently called her father, trying to understand his sudden betrayal. He told her, calmly, that he fell in love, and his new partner demanded he cut ties. With no hesitation, he ended things with his daughter in a single call. Jihan always knew he was that kind of man, selfish and reckless, willing to abandon his family for his own desires. When Jihan sees a broken family photo, he rushes to apologize, thinking Sei might be upset. But she surprises him. She broke it on purpose. Despite the pain, she puts on a brave face, just like always. Whether it was her mom's death or her dad's betrayal, she always smiled for his sake. But Jihan doesn't want her to bear everything alone anymore. She's not a kid, but she's still his family, and from now on, he'll be the one to protect her. As they hug, their tender moment is interrupted when she jokes that he's sweaty. Meanwhile, back at Divergent Guild HQ, Lim Gae-young recounts her awkward encounter with Jihan. Hearing how she got rejected, Lee Hae-an bursts out laughing. She can't believe someone turned down her. Despite Gae-young thinking she's not that attractive, strangers on the street clearly disagree, whispering and admiring her. They head to the lounge to discuss Jihan's recruitment. The higher-ups want him brought in immediately. While they're talking, Hae-an sees a notification. Someone's live streaming unexpectedly. It's a channel usually used for gambling predictions, but this time it's none other than Seong Jihan, going live without warning. He's streaming with Sei behind the camera, and the title alone grabs attention. Brother-in-law of the Sword King. Viewers flood in, confused and curious. Behind him stands the iconic twin sword statue, confirming he's in the Sword Palace penthouse. As the stream begins, Jihan tells Sei to step back. Then, to everyone's shock, he channels energy into his foot and stomps the ground, shattering the statue's base. He follows up with a punch that demolishes it completely. Viewership explodes. Now that he has everyone's attention, he turns to the real reason for this stream, addressing Sword King Yoon Se-jin's defection to Japan. The stream is hosted on BattleTube, the global streaming platform integrated into the Battle.net system. It rewards creators with quests tied to viewership, subscriptions, and engagement. By making such a bold move, Jihan isn't just making noise, he's earning achievement points too. As the numbers skyrocket, so do the dislikes. And then come the ominous comments, all with matching black icons featuring twin swords. They're from the Sword King's loyalists, and their presence makes Jihan's eye twitch. The fanatics in Usan's fan club were the ones who drove Sei to her death in Jihan's past life. Despite once supporting the Sword King wholeheartedly, their resentment after he moved to Japan spiraled out of control. With no outlet for their rage, they targeted his innocent niece, Yoon Se.
No matter how far she ran, their cruel words always found her, until eventually it led to her tragic end. But this time, Jihan isn't letting that happen. If someone needs to be hated, he'll gladly take the heat. To draw attention, he clears his throat, smashes the crumbling statue beside him, and announces boldly that Edo Ryuhei, the former Sword King, won't be returning. As murmurs rise in the crowd, people begin recognizing Jihan, especially for ranking first in the bronze tutorial, an unexpected feat. Still, some doubt him because of his low league status. Ignoring the noise, Jihan plays a phone recording into the mic. It's Ryuhei, clearly admitting he's leaving Korea for love, abandoning even his daughter to be accepted by his new partner. Once the message is clear, Jihan stops the playback. The crowd is stunned, but not entirely convinced. To back up his claim, Sei appears on camera. She declares that though her father offered her the Sword Palace, she's rejecting it. Instead, she's donating it to support Korea's rising players. Jihan smiles. His plan is working. Just 30 minutes earlier, he had proposed this to Sei, and though shocked, she eventually agreed. She had no idea why he'd give away everything, but something about his conviction swayed her. Jihan couldn't explain that in his previous life, after Ryuhei's defection, their family was ruined. Sei left homeless, harassed, and driven to suicide. Rather than wait for the world to turn on them again, he's choosing to offer the Sword Palace now, to protect her and win public favor. Sei still sees him as a lazy uncle who drinks all day. He can't tell her he's reliving life from the future, but somehow she chose to trust him. She hadn't seen this side of him in years. Even so, not everyone is convinced. The Sword King's old supporters now direct their hate at Jihan, branding him a fraud. And that's exactly what he wants, to shield Sei from their wrath. But it's not enough. Jihan returns to the camera and directly calls out Ryuhei. He says Ryuhei couldn't leave for love. He left because he's washed up. Sei watches in shock. This wasn't part of the plan. The internet explodes. Some viewers are outraged, others amused. Jihan continues. Ryuhei ran because he couldn't handle the competition in Korea. Even Gong and Han are stunned by what he says. He ends the stream by telling Ryuhei to stay in Japan, because soon they'll meet again, and Jihan plans to crush him. Afterward, he and Sei return home. She immediately questions him about the online chaos. Both Korea and Japan are in a frenzy over his comments. But Jihan stays calm, telling her not to worry. It's all under control. Sei starts to realize something's changed. Her uncle, once a lazy drunk, now seems like a completely different person. He asks if that's all she ever saw in him, and though she tries to deny it, she admits he wasn't always like this. Before the conversation can go deeper, the doorbell rings. Jihan knows exactly who it is. At the door stands Park Eunuch, a government official who once helped them in his past life, even after Ryuhei abandoned the country. With things heating up, the government can't ignore Jihan anymore. They sit down to talk. Eunuch reveals that while the government knows Ryuhei won't return, they can't let the public find out, not with the Korea-Japan match approaching. What they want is for Jihan to take back the donation. Accepting it would confirm Ryuhei's departure and hurt public morale. But Jihan sees through it immediately. The old him might not have, but now he's sharper. Eunuch is stunned. This isn't the man he remembers. The old Jihan was a jobless drunk, but this version is different, calm, strategic, and dangerous. The government isn't fully letting go of the Sword King's return. Instead of transferring full control, they propose shared management. Someone else holds the title, but major decisions remain joint. They also want Jihan and his companion to stay at the Sword Palace, making the offer pretty fair. Still, in return, he asks for a favor. Time passes, and a new match begins in the Battle-at. A streamer known as Golden Light starts broadcasting, instantly drawing in viewers. Standing atop the Colosseum statue, he greets his fans, then leaps into the battlefield. One viewer tips him and asks him to humble the bronze players. He grins and dances, clearly enjoying the attention. though the other players aren't thrilled to see him. Beneath his cheerful facade, Golden Light is notorious. Once a respected gold-ranked player, he intentionally dropped to bronze for content, calling it deep-sea diving. Though in bronze, his gear and stats remain at gold level. He's infamous for bullying weaker players on stream. Scanning the field, he spots his next content target, Jihan. With mic in hand, he rushes to interview the rising star. While John is confused about who this noisy guy is, Jihan barely acknowledges him, and instead starts his own stream. Viewers notice and begin switching over, leaving Golden Light stunned. He just gave free promotion to a rival. Desperate to regain attention, he receives a message from a Sword King fanatic, offering 2,000 GP, worth around 2 million won. The bounties keep increasing, climbing past 40,000 GP. Before they can hit 50k, more players are summoned, freezing donations at 42,000 GP. One final offer promises $10,000 more if he defeats Jihan. Golden Light finally takes action. He uses a high-speed skill to rush Jihan and attacks, only to be smoothly blocked. Jihan counters with an odd weapon, a D-ranked sacred cooking club. Shocked that Golden Light's sword didn't break, Jihan summons a blade as a courtesy. In moments, he defeats the streamer using clean, sharp moves. Spectators are stunned. He's using sword chi and white sacred flames, abilities rare for his league. Jihan earns first blood using a holy kitchen knife from the divine cooking set. But Golden Light isn't finished. He revives using a one-time item called the Crucifix of Revival, which isn't valid in official league matches, but works here. Still, the goal was to put Jihan in last place, and since he died first, that's impossible. Frustrated but determined, he tries again. Jihan ends it swiftly, downing him a second time. While leaving, Jihan reflects on the rare revival item, noting why no one used it later. Its flaws outweighed its benefits. But there's no time to dwell. Today's match is unusually chaotic, likely due to the audience, elves. Jihan isn't fond of them, knowing their
Other players avoid him entirely. After all, he crushed a gold-ranked player twice. That makes hunting harder, which is a shame since he just unlocked a new holy weapon. To meet the weapon's conditions, he needs more combat. Just then, a new quest appears: defeat goblins guarding their champion. He's quickly surrounded, but charges in so fast the goblins scatter. He batters them with sacred cookware, items reacting to his precise moves. Following the item's instructions, crack skulls, pierce hearts, he activates their power. If he had mastered this earlier, he could have taken down more, but at least one strong goblin remains. The goblin champion towers over the rest, but Jihan knocks it down with a single blow and finishes it off. Despite its size, it's still just a goblin. With that, the quest is cleared. Jihan earns 500 achievement points and gains a new divine power. Because Jihan used his weapons excessively, their rank dropped to E, meaning he can only gain divine power once more. Hunting monsters is too slow, so now he has to target other players. Since they're not coming to him, he'll go to them. Viewers who've been silently watching finally react, saying Jihan now looks terrifying. But one viewer, Golden Light, is especially bothered. He sees a comment saying Jihan is far better than him, which stings. But what really grabs his attention is Jihan's insane power. The system reveals that Jihan's average stat is 35, 10 points above a typical Bronze League player. It doesn't add up, and Golden Light begins to suspect Jihan is cheating. As he lies in bed stewing over this, a scream pulls his attention back to the screen, just in time to see Jihan take down multiple players with brutal ease. The fight becomes a massacre. Other players quickly realize they can't waste time fighting each other. They must unite against Jihan. A mage and an archer team up, but their attacks don't land. They freeze up, stunned at how hopeless the situation is, and Jihan finishes them off. He racks up 10 kills, and the viewers are going wild. His kill count triggers his cooking set, giving him another point in divine power, but also downgrading his items further.
He also completes a hidden quest requiring 10 Colosseum kills, earning 5,000 achievement points. Despite all this, Jihan feels something's still missing. That's when a new epic quest appears. Find and provoke the Shadow Queen near the Colosseum audience. This kind of quest isn't supposed to show up in the Bronze League, and the reward is massive. 50,000 achievement points and the attention of the Shadow Queen constellation. A constellation support is like having a divine sponsor, and it could unlock abilities beyond normal reach. But finding her among the audience won't be easy, especially with a group of elves watching him. Meanwhile, outside the game, Jihan's feat is going viral. His 10-kill record matches the legendary Yoon Se-jin's, and the news spreads fast. His subscriber count jumps by 10,000, with 4,000 live viewers tuning in. Even the Sword King family, who once hoped he'd fail, now backs him. Golden Light, now disgraced, decides to join Jihan's camp and hopes to become his editor, aiming to make him BattleTube's biggest star. Back in the Sword Palace, Seiya is stunned by her uncle's strength. What she witnessed felt like griefing. He was just too powerful. People wanted to donate to Jihan, but he had no donation set up. Since it was an impromptu stream, he hadn't activated the link. Sei suggests setting a high minimum donation to avoid distractions. Jihan agrees and sets it at 10,000 GP, roughly 10 million won. Still, his mind is on the Shadow Queen quest. He needs to find her. But how? Sei notices his troubled face and offers to help. Jihan smiles, reminded of her mother. He tells her everything about the quest. Though she doesn't know who the Shadow Queen is, she agrees to rewatch footage to search for her in the crowd. With her help, he hopes to solve that puzzle while he handles some unfinished business. Using his achievement points, he unlocks another class slot. He picks between Warrior, Archer, and Mage, and chooses Mage. As soon as he adds the class, new power flows through him, distinct from divine energy. His plan is to combine this with his previous class to unlock a hidden stat, Force. He remembers Baron, a powerful player who once drunkenly talked about this very ability, Force, born from the fusion of mana and divine power. Baron was believed to be the only one capable, thanks to his dual class and rare SSS rank gift. But Jihan now meets those same conditions. Force is a power that overwhelms space itself. If Jihan wants to be ready for what lies ahead, he needs it. He tries channeling divine power into his hands and mixing it with mana. For a moment, it works, but then explodes, sending him flying. Something's missing. Maybe it's not just strength or level. Maybe he's focusing the energy in the wrong place. Instead of his hands, he plans to merge divine power from the upper Dantian with mana from the central Dantian, stabilizing it with the energy of the lower Dantian. If he can compress it perfectly without any leakage, he might unlock Force. He attempts it again. This time, the power surges through him with unbearable pain. The backlash is intense, and a system message appears. Jihan has started trying to unify the three Dantians, but almost immediately, a warning follows. He's exceeded his limit, and pushing further could kill him. Downstairs, Sei hears him screaming and rushes to check on him. Jihan is overwhelmed by pain. To combine divine power, mana, and martial force, he must unconsciously use strength to synchronize the three energies. The process is dangerous and demands all stats to be above 100. Anything less, and the user risks death. Sei races to his room, calling his name. When she bursts in, he appears fine, brushing off his screams as a headache. But it's clear something serious just happened. She doesn't buy his excuse, and her tears betray her fear. Seeing her genuinely upset, Jihan softens, apologizes, and promises he's okay. Sei wipes her tears, lightly hits his chest, and walks off to resume her search for the Shadow Queen. Watching her go, Jihan smiles. He realizes he has to be stronger, not just in power, but for her, too. Despite failing to unify the Dantians due to low level and experience, Jihan still manages to achieve what he wanted. He fuses divine power and mana to gain a new stat, Force. Though the connection between the three cores is weak, it's stable. Oddly, his Force stat starts at level 12. He quickly learns that force and martial power are linked. Raising one boosts the other. Testing it out, he raises martial power to 14 and force rises with it. It's basically a cheat. Even with a weak connection, the benefits are huge. If this is what a partial link offers, full unification might be game-breaking. But trying again now could kill him, so he backs off for the moment. Next, he experiments with a mage skill. He summons a fireball, but it's tiny and fades quickly. The system says he lacks the mana to cast larger spells. Cute, but useless in battle. The next morning, sunlight wakes him. A system alert informs him he's gained 10 divine power, but from now on, only C rank or higher holy items will work. D rank and below are useless. The 2 items he bought last night won't help anymore, so he plans to sell his remaining stock. He checks on Sei and finds her on the couch, earbuds in, dark circles under her eyes. She's clearly been up all night. She proudly shows him footage she found while researching the Shadow Queen, taken from a channel called Another Species Fan Cam. This BattleTube channel uses a gift called Scope to zoom in on spectators from other species. In one clip, 2 regal-looking elves appear seated on thrones, one of them a striking dark elf who gives off queenly vibes. Jihan agrees it could be a solid lead, but it's too early to be sure. Still, Sei plans to dig through more footage, even international ones, and offers to edit videos for his BattleTube channel, skills she picked up watching her dad's content. Her mention of her father hits Jihan hard. He still can't believe someone could abandon their daughter like that. Just 2 days ago, she spoke with government official Park Eunuch, who mentioned a woman named Ito Shiziru, believed to be the one who lured the Sword King away. She holds an SSS-ranked gift, Woman of Matchless Beauty. The gift may not just charm, it could bend thoughts entirely. Many of Korea's rising stars have defected to Japan, and the government suspects this skill is behind it. She could appear at any time, targeting another top player. After the conversation, Jihan searched for her, but there's no trace of her online. Japan is clearly hiding her well. Meanwhile, a plane marked with the Neo Self-Defense Force logo lands in Korea, possibly tied to what's coming. Later, another major moment arrives. Sei waits by the door while Jihan gets ready. She's nervous. It's her first public appearance since her father's fall from grace. Jihan reassures her they've done nothing wrong and should stand tall. At the Sword Palace lobby, they're met by a crowd and Park Eunuch, who says everything is ready. Jihan thanks him. This is the favor he requested, an auction of the Sword King's treasured possessions. The goal? To bait Japan into revealing themselves. Among the items up for sale, Yoon Seon's battle connector, and the valuable combat data inside. There's a real risk that if Japan shows up, they'll aim for the battle connector. In fact, even the Sword King himself might try to claim it. Either way, the Korean public will be forced to accept the reality. The Sword King has left, and he's not coming back. As Jihan lays out his strategy, Yun listens quietly, struck by how accurately he predicts what's
Finally loses patience. With a quick move, he disables the cameras, reminding everyone this is an auction, not a press event. There are 3 key items up for bidding. First, the Sword King's Battle.lat connector, which reduces pain sensitivity by 99% and includes valuable battle data. Second, analysis documents on top East Asian players. These are especially valuable with the Korea-Japan match approaching. The crowd murmurs with interest. Nobody wants to miss out. Then a man raises his hand. It's Tia Kemsuo from Japan's Neo Self-Defense Force. He offers 5 billion yen for all 3 items and requests a private meeting with Jihan and Sei. It's obvious what he wants, but Jihan shuts it down. If there's something to say it in front of everyone. Tiara nervously tries to regain control. Suddenly, his bodyguard, Shadow, steps in and holds a blade to Jihan's neck. She's powerful, though no Sword King, but Jihan isn't intimidated. He punches her away with ease. As she tries to recover, he calmly reminds her that the event is being live-streamed. Any reckless move now would be broadcast worldwide. Tiara quickly diffuses the moment, apologizing and repeating his offer. This time he directs his pitch to Sei, saying he'll answer any questions she has about her father if she agrees to the meeting. Everyone assumes she'll say yes, but to Tiara's shock, she refuses, flat out. He's stunned. She just turned down 5 billion yen and a chance to talk to her dad. But Sei gets it. If her father only contacts her with money, then she wants nothing to do with him. Plus, she's a minor. In the end, she trusts Jihan's judgment. Though the private meeting is denied, Tiara doesn't pull his bid. He says it was always part of the Sword King's instructions and gives Sei a letter, sealed with the name Ito Ryu Hai. Seeing the new name saddens her. He then challenges the Korean audience. Do they have the funds to outbid him? Jihan knows Tiara well. The man was banned from the US in Jihan's past life for his shady recruitment tactics. Now he's back, trying to do the same thing in Korea. With no higher bid, Jihan reluctantly accepts Tiara's offer. It feels too easy, like Japan had this win locked in. The mood is tense. Disappointment ripples through the room. But then Sei steps up and reads the letter aloud. Her father writes that he's heard about the auction and is disappointed in her. The 5 billion yen, he says, is the last thing he'll ever give her, the end of their relationship. Her tears fall as she finishes reading, proving its authenticity through his handwriting. Jihan turns away, angry and heartbroken. The woman of matchless beauty skill must be behind Yoon Sejun's change. Its mental manipulation stronger than anything Jihan has seen. He never liked the man, but at least he was a good father. Until now. Sei stops crying and rips the litter apart. Then she tells Tiara to pass along a message. She accepts the money and cuts all ties with her father. And with that, she worries briefly about the mess she made for the cleaning crew, only for Jihan to gently reassure her not to worry. Jihan uses his force skill to gather the papers, then burns them with fire, a clear mage ability, but he also fights like a warrior and has divine support powers, leaving everyone confused about his true class. Tiara watches him, convinced Japan must recruit this rare talent. Other scouts notice too, rushing to hand him their cards, knowing he's still unaffiliated. Jihan gets overwhelmed by all the attention until he hears Sei calling out. He wants to say he'll catch up later, but she suddenly collapses. Alarmed, he rushes to her side, only for her to whisper that she's faking it to help him escape the crowd. With the guards now keeping recruiters at bay, Jihan calms down. Viewers watching live blame Ito Ryu for stressing Sei out with his harsh letter. Using her health as a reason, Jihan ends the event and helps Sei up. She asks to go back to the penthouse, and as they leave, Tiara still tries to connect, but Jihan tears up his card midair, making it clear he wants nothing to do with him. That rejection, especially from a bronze-ranked Korean, enrages Tiara, though he nasks it with a creepy grin. He's still obsessed with recruiting Jihan, seeing his raw power and future potential. In the hallway, Sei and Jihan share a high five for the successful act. As they walk, Jihan gets a donation, even though the stream is off. The message seems to be from Tiara, creeping Jihan out enough to consider blocking him. Suddenly, they're approached by Han and her bodyguard, Gyung. Han introduces herself as the third department head of the Divergent Guild. She shouldn't be here without clearance, but managed it through her connections to Korea's Battle-at department. Her tone is bold, and something about her voice feels oddly familiar to Jihan. He tests the theory by quoting a line from his past life. The world is full of possibilities. It's from Dostoevsky, tied to someone with a known gambling habit. Gyung jumps in protectively, shocked Jihan would know that, since only a few know Han's secret. That confirms it. She's Zero, his Korean guildmate from a past life. Zero was once just a voice support, but after the tutorial phase, her skill evolved into something game-changing. Despite her gambling obsession, she rose to second in command of their guild. Now exposed, Han cringes at her secret being out. Jihan quickly covers by saying he recognized her from a past livestream. She plays along and offers her number, hinting she wants to meet privately. Sei misinterprets everything and assumes her uncle is entering a new romance. Han hands over her phone, but Jihan realizes he forgot his own number. Sei, still thinking he's being coy, jumps in to help and pretends to feel sick again. Jihan uses the moment to politely ask for Han's business card instead. As they walk off, Sei teases him about turning into a playboy. Meanwhile, Han and Gyung leave, with Gyung visibly rattled. Han tells him to let it out and laugh, knowing she's about to get annoyed. In the elevator, Sei remarks that Jihan is wearing her dad's old clothes. He jokes that it's not the clothes' fault, and they still look good. She brings up the phone number incident again, scolding him for pretending to forget. But Jihan seriously insists he really doesn't know it. Soon, it's time for another mission, a tower defense against zombie hordes. Jihan's head isn't in the game. He spent too long consoling Sei, who felt guilty for ruining a romantic opportunity. She thinks he has feelings for Han, but Jihan feels nothing of the sort, especially not for a gambler like Zero. But still, he never expected to meet her again. In their past lives, they were close. Both from Korea, they'd spend free time betting on sports, despite her losing streaks. Their bond grew during those shared moments. She often used the phrase, "she seemed so fond of," and bore a facial scar she refused to erase, calling it the price for dealing with the devil. Despite being mere refugees, they bonded over shared pain, guilt, regret, and the feeling of having failed to protect those they loved. Jihan lowers his head as old wounds resurface, but the flood of comments on his stream pulls him back. Viewers quickly notice the oversized sword in his hand, the first regular weapon he's used since joining the BattleNet. It's a C-rank Pontiff's horse-slaying blade, oddly cheap for its class. But now he understands why. It's massive and clunky. Still, he swings it with ease, impressing his viewers. They beg to see his status window. With 12,000 viewers live, Jihan hesitates, but decides to set a challenge. If they can get his channel to 200,000 subs, he'll reveal it. To make things more exciting, he adds that if he ever fails to win first place in a match, he'll show it immediately after that loss. Right as the deal hypes everyone up, 3 players appear, and Jihan's luck plummets. He's matched with 3 people he really didn't want to see again. First, the flashy kid he humiliated, then the mage he tossed around in his first mission. The last one is Diego Messied, Argentina's star footballer turned player. Once a mage in Jihan's past life. Now an archer. Something's off. Dohik the mage is still bitter after losing his skills and rewards thanks to Jihan. Then, just like before, a Sword King family member registers a massive bounty to stop Jihan from winning. The game begins, and Diego goes on the attack, kicking zombies off towers with pinpoint strikes. He asks Jihan for support buffs, and surprisingly, he can give one. His divine power must have grown. Viewers are now even more confused about his class. Before the battle heats up, Jihan checks if Dohik is ready to play seriously. With no other choice, the mage reluctantly agrees. Jihan jumps into the horde, shocking Diego and Dohik. Fireball in his hand and divine power surging, he unleashes hell. Divine fire rains down, and his huge sword causes a shockwave that wipes out dozens instantly. Even Goldie, the streamer he beat earlier, watches in awe. Some viewers speculate Jihan might have taken out 100 zombies with that one hit. Next come the blood zombies, bigger and tougher, but they slam into an invisible wall. Jihan is testing his force ability, a spatial control skill that traps enemies in his territory. He knows this power well, having trained against it in his past life. Now Jihan commands mana, divine power, and martial energy all at once. He's far above Bronze League standards. Within a minute, he racks up over 100 kills. He's determined to complete the 10,000 kill quest this time. With each swing, he carves through the horde, leaving viewers stunned. His promise to always place first place suddenly feels very real.
Above 17, he can only absorb divine energy from A-rank items or higher, an issue since those are extremely rare. Just then, Seiya bursts in, excited to share that she received a 50 billion won deposit. Her excitement fades when she sees Jihan injured. Despite his attempts to brush it off, she drags him to treat his wounds while scolding him. After bandaging up, they head out to eat. Jihan missed the taste of pork belly after years abroad. Though she offers to pay and suggests he orders something fancy, Jihan waves it off. They'll eat together often, so there's no rush. But Seiya reveals she's returning to school soon. Despite her role as student council president, she's been absent too long. She only has a week left before her blessing day, the academy's ritual for 18-year-olds. Though she looked forward to it, in Jihan's past life, she received an F-rank gift. He knows this, but chooses to keep it secret and just help lower her expectations gently. With school starting the next day, Jihan offers to drive her. She argues briefly, but is secretly touched. That morning, they head to the Sword Palace garage only to find all the luxury cars sold off, except one, Seiya's late mother's old car. It barely starts, but it works. Seiya is anxious, not because it's embarrassing, but because she's worried. Jihan doesn't understand until they arrive at school and are confronted by a bald man in the parking lot mocking their car. They're at Gangnamu BattleNet Academy, and the man tries to pick a fight, calling Jihan a beggar. Calmly, Jihan steps out, tells him to shut it, and pins him to the ground using his force. Seiya warns him that people are watching. Soon, a girl about Seiya's age, Kim Hisu, the school's vice president, steps out of the bald man's car and greets Seiya warmly. She's surprised by the situation, learns Seiya's dad sold their cars, and insists on giving her a ride from now on. Seiya is shocked, but Hisu won't take no for an answer, even offering to talk to her dad. Jihan watches, puzzled. He doesn't remember anyone being close to Seiya like this in his previous life. Meanwhile, at the Divergent Guild, Hyun sees the video of Jihan and rushes out with Gong to find him, determined to win his respect. But by the time they arrive, he's already gone. A staff member confirms he left earlier, and Hyun worries others might try to recruit him first. Gong calms her down, and she begins plotting her next move. As for Jihan, he's already back in the game and dominating his match. With his nameless divine arts and martial skills, he's quickly defeating opponents, refining his focus and reactions. His latest opponents have already felt his strength before. Jihan is infamous for taking down a flesh golem in one strike, so to lower-tier players, he's like a walking natural disaster. He wins again, his 5th straight first-place finish. The system rewards him with double experience and GP, and he reaches level 15, unlocking dungeon mode. Unlike other modes, dungeons include puzzles, traps, and require cooperation. But he's wary. Too many want to sabotage him, and teaming up is risky. He considers joining a guild, but decides against it. Once he hits silver, he'll start his own. Later, back home, it's dinner time. Jihan tells Seiya to set the table. She's surprised by his cooking skills, but he downplays it. Just a simple meal from leftover ingredients. She loves it, and he promises to cook properly next time. He used to cook every day in America, so he's used to it. As they eat, Jihan asks if she'll keep riding with Hisu. Seiya admits she doesn't want to. The ride was filled with over-the-top concern and invasive questions. It was too much. Jihan immediately gets it. Jihan realizes being around the girl must be tough, but honestly, her mom's warm, comfy car is another reason he's with her. He even admits it. The next day, when he drives her to school, they're greeted by a swarm of reporters and scouts, all curious after yesterday's scene. It's chaotic, but the school security holds them back. As they pull into the lot, they spot Hayan and Gayang waiting. Hayan's annoyed. Jihan never called her despite getting her business card. Truth is, he completely forgot. This time she traps him, taking him to the school's rooftop garden for a private chat. Or at least it would be private if scouts weren't lurking nearby. Jihan notices Hayan seems more relaxed. It turns out she graduated from this school. Still, she's visibly irritated he forgot her. He apologizes, but she brushes it off, calling him a refreshing change, since he's the only guy who's made her chase. To show how serious she is, she offers him a platinum-level contract, something so good the other recruiters give up on the spot. She gets close, tells him the deal is only possible because it's her, and even more shocking, confesses her feelings. The boldness of her move stuns Jihan. Her scent reminds him of someone he once knew. Zero. Now he's certain Hayan is the same Zero from his past. But one question remains. Does she still have that same unique ability? Frustrated at his calm reaction, Hayan slumps into her seat. She still doesn't have his number and feels like she's giving without getting anything back. So she insists she'll need his contact info to finalize the contract. Jihan, catching on to her real motive, suggests a bet instead. He just hit level 15, which means his next game is a dungeon run. He proposes, if he doesn't finish first, he'll join her guild and give her his number. Han's shocked he's level 15 already. It's only been a month since he started seriously playing. She agrees to the bet and asks what he wants if she loses. His answer, to see her status screen. He wants proof she's really Zero. Han's gift, Nurturing, used to be just an XP buff, pretty embarrassing to show off. Her reaction confirms Jihan's suspicions, but he still wants to see it for himself. She reluctantly agrees and warns him not to regret it. Jihan says there's no need to go elsewhere. He enters the BattleNet right there and starts streaming it live. He spawns in the Conqueror's Tomb, a brutal dungeon where all teammates must survive to clear it. Luckily, his randomly assigned party seems solid. They immediately recognize him and treat him with respect. Turns out they're from the Black Eagle Guild, reliable and well-equipped. They offer to lead, but Jihan takes charge. Seeing his confidence, they follow him willingly. He's relieved they're not trolls, especially with these strict dungeon rules. As they enter, monsters emerge from the sand, tomb guards. Jihan calmly walks in, dodges effortlessly, and knocks them out with a single punch each. The room clears in seconds. His teammates are stunned. Jihan reminds them to keep up. There are 10 paths in the tomb. Each team is assigned one. His team got the 8th, and they're far ahead, already on level 3. The others have just been following in awe as he tears through enemies barehanded, showing power way beyond his rank. Suddenly, he gets a donation from a familiar troll, Taeda, begging him to join Japan's team. Viewers quickly protest, not wanting to lose another hero like the Sword King. Jihan silences Taeda and makes it clear he's not leaving Korea. While others are still stuck on level 1, Jihan's group reaches level 4. One player tests a guard's strength. It's as hard as metal, yet Jihan crushes them with his fists. A strange message pops up on one player's screen, causing concern, but the rest keep moving. The mage apologizes for letting Jihan do all the work, but he's just glad to have decent teammates for once. Jihan and the others freeze as they receive a strange message. From the broken walls and ground, he quickly realizes this place is packed with traps, far more than usual. Still calm, he suggests they move faster and takes the lead through the dungeon. Unseen behind him, the archer and warrior draw their weapons. They've received a suicide mission from the Sword King family. If they take their own lives, Jihan's game ends instantly. This underhanded tactic was meant to sabotage him again, courtesy of Taeda, now banned from the stream but still pulling strings. As they rush ahead, the traps activate, shooting arrows toward them. The mage prepares a spell, but Jihan calmly halts the arrows with his absolute territory. Just then, the mage notices the archer and warrior turning their weapons on themselves. He shouts, alerting Jihan, who instantly uses his lightning-fast movement to disarm and bind them with force. The mage runs back, shaken. The two would-be saboteurs admit they accepted a suicide quest. Jihan isn't angry, he's just relieved he stopped them in time. But when the mage tries the same, Jihan quickly redirects his hand just as light flares from it. The mage, frustrated, demands how Jihan knew. It turns out Golden Light, Jihan's ever-loyal fan, spotted the mission and paid Jihan's massive donation fee just to warn him. The bounty was ridiculous, 1 billion won to ruin Jihan's game. That kind of money could only come from someone powerful, likely Taeda. Realizing how far they'll go, Jihan changes the terms. He'll no longer reveal his status at 200,000 subscribers, but at 1 million. But he still promises to keep winning every game. He ties up the two traitors with a rope from his inventory and drags them like baggage through the dungeon. Eventually, they reach the 6th level, right before the Emperor's Chamber. It's filled with more tomb guardians than any level before. Hundreds of glowing eyes glare from the dark. To silence the saboteurs, Jihan even uses force to seal their mouths and pressure points, an elite martial technique. Despite the warrior trying to speak about Jihan's niece, he's silenced before saying anything foolish. He keeps them alive with passive healing while dragging them forward. Soon, they're
Meanwhile, Do-yuk grows eerily quiet. Viewers ask Golden Light to check on him and catch him standing by the crystal, fireball ready, planning to sabotage the mission. But before he does it, he starts taunting Jihan, yelling insults and even bringing up his niece, Seiya. Even the undead seem unsettled. Jihan stays silent until Do-yuk crosses a line by dragging Seiya into it. The 55,000 GP reward, about 55 million won, is clearly from the Sword King family, and it's enough for Do-yuk to risk everything. But Jihan isn't fooled. He knows Do-yuk wouldn't pull something like this without someone backing him. Maybe he thinks he can blow the crystal and escape before Jihan arrives. But insulting Seiya? That's a mistake Jihan won't let slide, ever. After the brutal attack by the Sword King family, Jihan had once found Seiya lifeless in his arms, her face wrapped in bandages. Powerless back then, he could only cry. But now, with the ability to change the future, he swore to never let that tragedy repeat. The fiery aura erupting from his body shows just how furious he is, especially when someone dares to mention his family. Even though he's still far from the crystal, Jihan has no intention of letting this go. He's determined to make sure no one ever forgets what happens when you cross Seiya. While trying to unite the three Dantians, he realized he could tap into the nameless divine arts. His martial level isn't high enough to fully unleash them, but intimidation is more than enough for now. By channeling energy from his feet through his body, Jihan becomes like a lightning bolt, using a technique called flashing sky thundersteps. It allows him to move at blinding speed. The Sword King team scrambles, urging their mage to destroy the crystal before Jihan arrives. But Jihan's teammates jump in. Doyuk blasts Goldie back with fire, and the mage prepares a bigger spell. Before it lands, Diego blocks it with a football. The mage is confused, but Diego is serious. This game matters, and no one ruins it on his watch. Meanwhile, Doyuk has already crossed the line by cursing Diego's family, adding fuel to the fire. As Doyuk argues, Jihan finally appears, clearly not amused. The mage tries provoking him further, but Jihan silences him with force. Though tempted to end things quickly, he decides to dish out some punishment first. Killing the mage would only cost a level, but pain, that leaves a deeper mark. Confident in the system's pain filters, Doyuk thinks he's safe, but as Jihan grips his shoulder, agonizing pain erupts through his body. The screams echo across the map. Jihan is deliberately causing internal damage, using martial force to tear muscles and fracture bones, techniques only top martial artists know. Diego quickly realizes what's happening. Jihan is using healing in tandem with the damage, triggering a bug that bypasses the pain filters. The mage is in agony, unable to understand why the system isn't protecting him. Feeling like he's being stabbed and electrocuted all over, he begs for death. Jihan obliges and decapitates him cleanly. But it's not over. Jihan waits at the revival point. As soon as the mage respawns, the torment resumes. This time it's so overwhelming that Doyuk dies from shock. Viewers watching the stream grow uneasy. When the mage revives again, he immediately pleads for mercy. Seiya steps in, urging her uncle to stop. Any more of this and he risks losing his followers. Jihan halts, but not out of pity, for Seiya's sake. He's made his point. Don't mess with her. Before ending it, he demands to know who sent the mage. The answer is someone with the username Sword King Family 898. They sponsored him repeatedly with GP, tempting him into this mess. Jihan suspects it's more than just one person, likely a full organization. With his answers, he grabs the mage and tosses him into the sky. As the man vanishes, he shouts thanks to Seiya for ending his suffering. With that, Kim Do-yuk is gone for good. For his precision and brutal skill, both Golden Light and Diego award Jihan 10 points. With the nuisance dealt with, it's time to return to the zombies. Jihan recalls needing to kill 1,000 and already had 920, but when he checks, the quest is complete. Turns out the electric shock from his flashing thundersteps had supercharged the ground, frying enough zombies to finish the mission by accident. It wasn't a perfect use of power, but the results were solid. Goldie tries to join him, hoping to tag along, but Jihan brushes him off and thanks Diego for protecting the crystal. They plan to catch up later. Jihan has a lot to discuss with him. Suddenly, the ground shakes. A monstrous hand with a mouth bursts out. It's something no one, even Jihan, has seen before. The zombies, strangely, aren't being led. They're being devoured. The creature turns them into a grotesque sludge, forming a new monster, a flesh golem, something meant only for gold tier maps. Jihan realizes this might be the result of the linked quest, and things are about to spiral out of control. Jihan checks his status and notices his quest has shifted from Zombie Origin 1 to Zombie Origin 2. Now his mission is to defeat a flesh golem without help from the crystal. He's unsure what that means, but before he can figure it out, the system throws another surprise, a bonus quest. Other players receive it too, and they're just as confused. Facing a monster this huge seems impossible, yet the system clearly wants them to try. The beast is named Blackhand, a disciple of destruction. To help balance the fight, players are granted the crystal's blessing, temporarily narrowing the power gap. Even Goldie, who fights at Gold League level, doubts they can win. Quests like this aren't meant to be cleared easily. The system offers a rare reward, 10,000 achievement points and a crystal fragment. It's clearly an epic-level mission. Goldie suggests Jihan take the blessing, but Jihan refuses. Sword in hand, he rushes toward the golem as it targets our crystal. Flesh golems are durable undead creatures, and the only way to kill one is by destroying the core deep inside. This one's covered in crystal shards and is far beyond typical bronze tier battles. Telling the others to back off, he launches into the air using his lightning step technique. As he flies toward the enemy, he recalls a foundational martial art. 3 talents martial devotion, a court technique rooted in heaven, earth, and humanity. With that insight, he unlocks a powerful ability, then slices straight through the golem, destroying its core in one blow. The attack is so clean and overwhelming that Diego drops his football in shock. The system confirms the bonus mission is complete. Goldie, overwhelmed with emotion, drops to his knees, while Diego is left speechless. Sparkly, who originally just wanted to farm content, now wants to document Jihan's entire journey, not just as a player, but as a future legend. Other towers weren't as lucky. Some failed instantly. One got wiped in a single strike. But Jihan's group is ready to log out, having earned triple rewards, EXP, GP, and recognition. Before logging off, Jihan pulls Diego aside and suggests they meet in the real world. Diego hesitates, just earning the bonus reward feels like enough. But Jihan wants to give him valuable info about his skill and hints that Diego should become a mage. Intrigued, Diego agrees to meet for a meal to talk more. Goldie overhears and begs to tag along, even offers to be Jihan's editor. Jihan refuses and logs off mid-plea, focused only on repaying Diego. Back in the Sword Palace, Jihan checks his rewards, 10,000 achievement points and a crystal fragment. But it's not over. Another linked quest, Traces of the Disciple, will unlock once he hits silver rank. Though the crystal fragment sounds exciting, it's a letdown. It grants a divine buff, but can only be used once and only in bronze or silver zones. Still, other rewards make up for it. He leveled up 3 times and gained 6,000 GP thanks to the triple bonus. Now at level 13, both his martial power and force are at 17, well ahead of most players approaching Silver League. Meanwhile, the divine item he used during the tower defense reacts. Since he met its conditions, his divine power increases by 2 and merges with force. But even though the item drops from C rank to E rank, his stats don't rise further. Clearly, divine power and force don't scale evenly. Suddenly, the sword glows brightly. The power of the three dantians starts leaking from the blade. It couldn't handle the pressure. Jihan quickly absorbs the energy back into his body to prevent disaster. The burst of divine light fills the entire room and even spills outside. Nearby, in a building close to the Sword Palace, a recruiter from Japan's Neo Self-Defense Force, operating under the alias Sword King Family 898, is frustrated. His plan to sabotage Jihan failed. He had hoped to trigger Jihan's downfall through the mage's jealousy and the Sword King family's unrest, but Jihan triumphed again. Now the recruiter, Taida Keizuo, worries he's running out of time. His company wants proof, actual stats, to justify recruiting Jihan. Without evidence, they won't act. His entire strategy relied on seeing Jihan's status window, which hasn't happened. If he can't deliver soon, he may lose his chance to secure Jihan for Japan. Still, Taida isn't ready to quit. If he can get access to Jihan's stats, he'll have the green light to use the same top-secret method they once used to bring in the Sword King. Jihan successfully absorbs the sword's overwhelming energy, boosting his divine power and even raising his force level, confirming that every 3 divine levels equal 1 force level. His martial power, which links to force, also hits level 18. Though the sword is gone, the gains more than make up for it. The system alerts him, however, that now with his force too,
the soldiers keep reviving, but Jihan isn't fazed. He places a protective barrier over his teammates and reinforces it with force, making it nearly indestructible. With no distractions, he activates absolute territory, freezing enemies in place. Every move inside the field is slowed down to a crawl, an insanely overpowered ability. Using his strength and force, he wipes out the entire horde in one powerful strike, clearing the floor. Now they reach the final stage, the Emperor's Chamber. The Conqueror calls them gold-thirsty looters. To finish the quest, all 14 members must bow respectfully in designated spots. Jihan throws the tied trio onto the ground, unties them, and uses force to move them to the correct positions. Thanks to his mastery of force, he controls their movements even across wide distances. Once they're all in place and bow properly, Jihan joins them. The quest completes successfully. A gate opens, signaling their return to the real world. Just as everyone else is moving on, Jihan suddenly receives a hidden quest. The system instructs him to show genuine respect to the Conqueror statue. If he succeeds, he'll earn 5,000 achievement points and the massive arrow resting on the Conqueror's bow, which is more like a spear. Confused about what genuine respect means, Jihan tries tossing another player toward the statue to test it out. The golden horse the statue rides instantly devours the player. Amused, the Conqueror asks if Jihan truly considers him the king of plunderers. Jihan confirms, saying true respect is desiring the arrow, not gold, because understanding the value of such a weapon is real reverence. The statue erupts with laughter and acknowledges Jihan's sincerity. As a reward, he agrees to give him the weapon, but first, the test begins. The Conqueror draws his phoenix arrow and the air ignites. Flames consume the room, and even Jihan catches fire. The intense heat starts melting gold and claiming lives, leaving only Jihan and one other player. Knowing he can't take the arrow head-on, Jihan uses a technique from the nameless divine arts, the ultra-speed stab. He hurls his sword straight at the bow, breaking it just before the arrow is loosed. The arrow drops to the ground, and the statue's grin fades. Impressed, the statue calls Jihan a noble warrior and hands over the arrow. He even hints they'll cross paths again on a true battlefield. Jihan accepts the challenge and looks forward to the day. Back in the real world, the audience is more fascinated by the skill Jihan used. The ultra-speed stab is so precise and fast, it can't even be seen in slow motion. Unlike before, Jihan now uses the nameless divine arts with more control and less strain. With this mastery, he's able to bypass the trial on the dungeon's 7th floor. With the test behind him, Jihan turns to his teammate, who had betrayed him, and ends him swiftly using his new weapon. The match ends, and Jihan returns to the school rooftop where everyone had been watching his battle unfold. His new spear draws attention. It's absurdly powerful for something earned in a bronze dungeon. Facing Haiyan and Gaiyang, Jihan declares that he placed first as promised. That means he's won their bet, and Haiyan now has to reveal her status window. Reluctantly, she does. It confirms what Jihan suspected. Her gift is fostering, which allows her to nurture other players. She's embarrassed, having always considered it a useless gift, especially after spending so much money to enroll in the academy. But Jihan doesn't mock her. He just smiles and asks for her phone number. She reminds him it was on the card she gave him, but he says he lost it, implying disinterest. Flustered, she still gives him her number and even adds a heart next to her name in his contacts. As she walks off, she looks back to see his reaction. He just laughs softly and says he'll call her. That nearly pushes her over the edge emotionally, but she restrains herself. Elsewhere at school, his niece Sei watches his battle with her classmates. They're amazed by his transformation. He's gone from a mess to a hero. Sei feels proud, even tearful, as she remembers her own 18th birthday is approaching, the moment she'll officially awaken as a player. The academy students all dream of this day, curious about what kind of gift they'll receive. With a family full of high-ranking talents, her father an SSS rank, her mother SS, and rumors about her uncle, expectations are high sky. Although gifts aren't hereditary, everyone still expects greatness from her. Despite her anxiety, Jihan comforts her and encourages her to look forward to what's coming. Meanwhile, over in Japan, the Sword King's training session leaves countless unconscious trainees in his wake. Spectators are stunned. He wasn't just strong before, he's now clearly reached an entirely new level. Beneo's self-defense force is buzzing with anticipation for Ito Rui's debut in the Korea-Japan match. Meanwhile, at Divergent Guild headquarters, Han argues with her father on the phone. He's once again trying to push her into marrying someone she doesn't like. This time, an older, balding officer from the Neo Force. Fed up, she hangs up. Jihan checks in on her, and Han vents her frustration. She left her privileged life behind because of this pressure and has no plans to inherit the company. Instead, she wants independence, though her method, gambling, hasn't exactly brought success. Still, she's confident she'll win big betting on the Korea versus Japan match, where most expect Japan to dominate. Her mood shifts when she receives a shocking message from Jihan. The next day, Jihan treats Diego to a fancy Korean barbecue as thanks. It's Diego's first time trying Korean beef, and he's blown away. Over food and drinks, Diego opens up. He used to be a global soccer star, but lost everything after the battle system rose to power. Now he teaches kids just to get by. Jihan relates, knowing how the world turned its back on traditional sports. Jihan then brings up something unexpected. He wants Diego to become a mage. Diego is skeptical, his mana stat is terrible, but Jihan points out Diego's unique gift, an SSS rank ability that boosts anything shaped like a soccer ball. To support him, Jihan offers a rare item, Arachne's Orb, worth 50 million won. Diego is stunned at the generosity, and even more so when Jihan offers to fund him and asks him to join his future guild. When Diego asks if he's serious, Jihan confidently shows him betting data predicting Korea will win one of the upcoming matches. Diego's disbelief is understandable. Japan's Sword King is nearly unstoppable, but Jihan insists, and soon the match begins. On screen, the Japanese team struggles to work with Rui, who they resent for replacing a former teammate. As tensions rise, a Korean player unexpectedly lands a hit on Ryukai. Seizing the opportunity, the Korean team charges, but Ryukai stops them with a ground-splitting slash, then stabs himself in the chest, removing himself from the round. Korea is credited with the kill, shocking everyone. Jihan's prediction is starting to make sense, though he keeps the reason to himself. With Ryukai out, Korea easily wins the round, and the MVP goes to the support player who first landed the hit. Everything is playing out exactly as Jihan expected, down to the betting odds. In the recovery area, the Japanese players confront Ryukai. Frustrated with their lack of discipline and loyalty, he calls them trash and declares that unless they accept him as their leader, he'll continue to kill himself in every round. Left with no choice, the team is forced to submit. As the second round begins, the Korean team is still confused. Why did Ryukai sacrifice himself? At first, the Korean team thinks they can handle him, but it's immediately clear they're wrong. Ryukai now radiates a completely different energy. In an instant, he unleashes a powerful strike that hits 3 players at once, leaving both the audience and team stunned. Without wasting time, he finishes off the last survivor. The Japanese crowd erupts in cheers, while the Korean audience looks on in fear. Ryukai, known as the Sword King, has single-handedly crushed Korea's team with just 2 moves, evening the score. Japan quickly claims the third round, and the fourth isn't much different. Korea gives it their all, but it's no use. Even when bound, Ryukai somehow breaks free and cuts them down, one after another. Only the archer and mage remain. With their focus solely on Ryukai, the archer is taken out by a sneak attack from another Japanese player. Now, only the mage is left. Ryukai approaches and uses a new ability called Sword Flight. She mocks him for abandoning Korea, but he simply replies that she'd last longer if her combat was as sharp as her tongue. Before her spell activates, he ends it all with a colossal sword of light, reducing the arena to a crater. It's another crushing win for Japan. Though devastated, the Korean team vows to come back stronger. Diego is in awe. Jihan predicted the match perfectly. He jokes it came to him in a dream, one that earned him a fortune. But deep down he's worried. Ryukai has become far stronger than Jihan remembers, and even the nameless divine arts may not be enough to beat him. Adding to the threat is his SSS rank gift, Twin Sword Peak. Still, Jihan remains undeterred. No matter how powerful Ryukai becomes, he's determined to surpass him. Their battle is inevitable. Meanwhile, Dong is proving her strength in a gladiator-style fight. Though not as skilled as Jihan, she easily dominates, earning another first-place finish. But that's not enough anymore. Seeing Ryukai and Jihan's growth pushes her to do more. After joining the Divergent Guild, she let herself slip. Now it's time to step up. Sei faces her own struggles. Reading about her father's recent win stirs complicated feelings. Though she pretends she's fine, it's clear she's not. Her driver, Hisu, offers to stay with her, but she politely declines. He apologizes for challenging Jihan previously and brings up something they talked about, something Sei still seems unsure about. Their talk ends abruptly when the car is blocked by a crowd at the Sword Palace. Reporters swarm, eager for a word from Sei. They push toward the car, bombarding her with questions and accusations. She hides her face, overwhelmed. In the middle of the chaos, Jihan arrives. Calm but firm, he forces the reporters back and makes space around the car. Even as they accuse him of attacking the press, Jihan stands unfazed. Despite his boiling anger, Jihan maintains a calm front, because public image matters more than personal feelings. His glare alone is enough to silence the reporters as he warns them to